My name is Loren Hutnick, Loren, Hutnick. Currently I reside in Petaluma, California. Petaluma.
All right, now, Loren, you've brought a video for us. Would you please tell us what this video?
The video that's going to be seen is actually of a truck that went into regen down in Southern California at a truck stop. And this is a pretty violent fire. Now keep in mind, there is a truck sitting next to it. And from the people that I had sent me this video, and they went over and talked to both the drivers. The driver of the truck that is burning down was a 09, so that had an EPF on it. The truck, it had a diesel particulate filter on it.
Okay.
Now, there is a truck sitting next to it that was, as far as they can tell, was an 07, questionable, but the truck that was sitting next to it had 4 hazardous waste placards on it. And this is what's happening in the truck stops and on our highways. And this is all due to CARB and the EPA and their mandates.
All right, now this truck was sitting stopped at the truck stop, is that
yes,
right?
It was.
What truck stop is that, or where in Southern California?
Thank you. Coachella Valley.
All right, and with help from the sidelines, you got it, huh? You know Coachella Valley?
Yes, it was.
Okay. All right. And it was there to regen the filter?
As far as we know, the truck went into regen while the driver was out of the truck.
All right.
There was no, as far as everybody knows, there was no injuries or deaths other than the truck that was burned down to the ground.
No one, but the driver was not in the truck?
The driver was not in the ground. Now, if you give me the liberty of a few seconds here, I will get you the second video.
All right.
Everybody see it, there's one more lights on.
Now, this video is the same truck that was left there with supposedly a caution tape, and it hadn't been moved, and from what I was told, for at least 36 hours.
For 36 hours?
This is 36 hours.
So this is the one that was shown in the first video?
Yes, it was. And you can see how violent these fires are. Now, there was question about the difference between a brake fire and a cab fire. And if you notice in the beginning of this video, the tires were still in place. Not on this side, but on the other side. Now, this is a violent fire. And this is burnt to the ground. A brake fire is a very lazy fire. And there's some people out here that got a few more years than I do that would probably tell you that a brake fire can be lazy.
Can be what?
Very lazy. It just meanders.
Loren, how long have you been a trucker?
Almost 30 years.
In the Reading hearing, in the Reading portion of the hearing, I asked you a question about, from your experience as a long-time truck driver, whether the fires subsequent to the requirement of filters are different types of fires than you witnessed prior to the time the filters were required. You remember that?
Yes, I do, sir.
What is your answer to that question?
There is a big difference in these fires. We're seeing 1 to 5 of these a week.
And What is the difference? I mean, you just showed it, but
Violent. They're
explain.
violent.
They're violent, and where are they located?
Usually they're starting on the right side.
And from the pictures that we saw in Reading and your testimony there, they're cab fires, and the fires are firebomb type fires.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are. They are cab fires. And, you know, we've had testimony here that, you know, they're parked right next to the fuel tanks, fuel lines. You know, anything gets on them, it's instant torch.
Questions from the board?
Thank you for your testimony. I don't have a question, I do have a statement on this. You say there's 1 to 5 of these a week. Maybe I do have a question. Roughly, what part of the country are scattered?
They're scattered. They're scattered all over. I get notifications of these all the time. And as soon as I get the notification, I'm making a phone call to another individual and to keep track of these.
The problem I see here is City of Colfax. We had just before when they come in the city limits, I think it was 3 years ago, we had a truck fire come down. Not being a trucker, I just thought it was another fire. But now seeing this, we have all these trucks going through up Highway 89 through the Sierra Nevadas. You got trucks going down I-80. You got trucks going down 199. All these roads with force. I see a serious problem here which needs some attention.
I have photos, so many photos of burnt down trucks. You know, and we just got to not keep in mind about this is not just a truck thing. C.A.R.B and the EPA have mandated this on school buses. You know, we brought questions forward so many times, and there was a statement made. These DPFs are in the back of school buses. You just took out one emergency exit. Now there's only 2, maybe 3. I don't want to be anywhere near when a child gets burned or an individual. This is a husband or a wife to a family that needs to go home.
Loren, you saw in Reading, you saw the series of fire photographs that were introduced into the lawsuit that was filed in, is it Glenn County?
Correct.
And you recall the testimony about those, and those were the films that I asked you for your opinion on.
Yes.
Robert, I'd like to ask you, do we have that anywhere ready to? That's what I mean, the videos of the ones that were introduced into evidence in the case in Glenn County, because I did want to, that's the one I wanted to show.
Loren, I have a question for you, and this may not be within your scope of knowledge, but are you aware of any agency, either state or federal, that is tracking these fires and compiling a history of what they think the cause is, or even just are the insurance companies getting involved in investigating some of these fires?
As for a governmental agency, no. As for an independent, yeah, there's 2 people that I know of. Myself and Betty Plowman.
Yes, thank you.
I'm just wondering, from the amount of pollution put out by that one fire, how many trucks could have been riding down the road and never produced that much pollution?
To tell you the truth, too many. Because these trucks today that are compliant are built with less metal and more plastics. and more fiberglass. And yeah, there's too much pollution. They've created another pollution source, but they won't admit to it. Just not that. These trucks are feeding off of oil, fuel tanks. You know, any one of us tell you that we carry anywhere from 80 to 200 gallons of diesel. That fire is feeding on that amount of diesel. You know, how much pollution now is coming off because of what they have requested us to do.
Loren, we've had the question asked, or we've had the statement made by people who have said that they've never seen any indication that these filters have been safety tested. Now you and Betty follow CARB about as closely as any two human beings could stand it, from what I've observed. Have you ever seen any evidence whatsoever that the filters have been safety tested?
No, I have not. And in the research that I've done and the poking around under a compliant truck that I have done, I have yet ever found a UL rating, DOT stamp. We can't even find out who holds the patent and the license to these things.
I had a quick question too. Now these fires, I don't know if you have any direct evidence. Are we looking at a fire that's caused by a detonation of the filter, or are we looking at secondary ignition due to the heat of the filter? That we're seeing something else actually combust?
Both.
Thank you. One more, if I may. We have a couple of places in Colfax, right in our area, where some of the truckers pull over to rest. We have pines all over around us. You know, if the wind conditions are right, our town's gone because we have wooden buildings. My concern, when let's say somebody's come downhill, long drive, from the summit all the way down, and you want to pull over and rest. They turn off the engine. Now, do they turn off the engine or keep it running if they want to rest?
Well, usually, in the state of California, you have a 5-minute idle time. So it depends on how your truck is set up, the computer is set up. Will it acknowledge that 5-minute idle time, or will it allow you to go beyond that 5-minute idle time?
Okay, what I'm trying to get at here is there'd be obviously a temperature change with the engine not running as much. How long does it take for something like this to ignite?
How long does it take a pine tree to blow up due to the dry sap?
Well, yeah, that I can tell you.
Well, I mean, it will ignite. These things averagely run down the road at anywhere from 400 to 500 degrees. When they go into regen, they can reach 2,000 degrees. Anything that's a fuel, your triangle's there. Oxygen, fuel, and heat. It's all there. So, when it hits, it wants to go. It's going to go.
Let me ask a question related to that one, please. The fire we saw where the truck had pulled in to regen, was that engine running or not?
I would probably say it was running.
It was running?
Yeah.
But have you observed fires that occurred when the engine was not running?
Not that I know of.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Did you have any other questions of him?
No. Thank you, Loren.